Live from Keene, New Hampshire, the most watched TV news show in Keene, the Keene Weekly News with Mark Edgington. Coverage of local and national events starts now.
Good evening. I'm Mark Edgington. You're watching the Keene Weekly News. As I've told you many times before, don't be fooled by the name. This is not in fact a news show. I talk about the news, but really, I give my opinion. For those of you who watch the show on a regular basis, don't be frightened by the hairy thing on my face. It's a beard. And I've been working out on my new house that I'm building out in beautiful rural New Hampshire. And, well, it's cold out there. I thought I'd take care of take advantage of some of the natural insulation that my body offers. I don't think my wife likes it much, though, so it's probably not going to stick around. She kind of gets to decide what the final verdict is on hair on my face. So, don't worry. I've never been able to handle it for very long anyway. They always itch me. So this will probably be the last Keene Weekly News for a while. I know, everybody's upset, but like I said, I'm building a house. And when I say I'm building a house, I don't mean someone else is building a house for me that I'm going to go live in. I mean, I'm nailing nails into wood. It's a terrible time to do it, but, I started buying the property in May. It just took a long time to get through the process of dealing with the town government, and, they had all these little rules on whether, how it is that I have to come supplicating to them for the ability to build on my own piece of property. You can't just come ask them. You have to come ask them in a specific manner. You must have a $5,000 piece of paper called a site plan. They want to see this thing. And, it's going to tell them all kinds of stuff about whether or not you can build on your own land. How long have we been getting site plans in New Hampshire? I mean, aren't these relatively new things? Site plan for residential buildings. Doesn't make any sense. But how long have we been getting site plans? Did your father, who built his house, have to get a site plan? Did he have to get it approved by the town? I mean, if in fact what we're trying to do in New England generally is take the long view of things, we want to, we've been here 300 or 400 years here in New England. The rest of the United States, that's new. So we want to take the long view. If in fact we are taking the long view, were they not taking the long view previously in New England? I mean, how is it that New England's managed to be the quaint, beautiful place that it is without the management of local city and county governments up until relatively recently? I don't know when they started requiring site plans and that kind of thing to build a residence, a post and beam residence, just like all the buildings were in the past here in New England, but I don't know. It's bizarre to me, this whole process of going before some of your fellow citizens and supplicating, please, I beg you, allow me to build a house on the land that I've bought. I've worked so hard for the money, for the land. Now, please. Oh, you want me to get a big piece of paper for you? Oh, I'll come back with the big expensive piece of paper. You wait right here. And then next month, you come back with the big expensive piece of paper. And something's wrong on the piece of paper. The person that you paid $5,000 to make this giant piece of paper. I'm trying to make lines, but my arms are way out here. This giant piece of paper, that person has made some mistake. The road frontage, they're not showing the proper number. They've left a 1 off the front. They have failed to tell them how far the leach field is from the residence. Some inanity. They forgot to show them where north is. It's the top of the paper, for God's sakes. That's where north is. Whatever it is, they forgot to put it on the big expensive piece of paper. So then, you've got to go back in front of the board. Please, I beg you, please. I just want a place for my wife and baby to live. I've paid for the land. Can't I build here? And they say, I don't know. What can you do for us? It's bizarre. It's really, really strange. Who owns the land? Shouldn't purchasing land be a transaction between two adults? In this case, I had to purchase it from a trust. But regardless, shouldn't it be a transaction between two people? Why do you have to go ask the fellow elected officials in, this rural town here in New Hampshire, something that calls itself a town? It's not really a town. What they call towns in New Hampshire are really just optimistic gas stations. I mean, Keene's a town. The rest of that stuff, not a town. Nothing like it. But I don't understand. I don't get it. Why? So I had to go beg and plead, and it took me months to beg and plead, and then there was problems with the title, and there's still problems with the title. I figure I'm just not going to worry about the title. If they come and try to take my house away from me, I'll just start shooting. What are you going to do? So I ended up starting to build in November, finally, and at that point when I say I started to build, I hired somebody to come out and pour a foundation and stuff. Now, when I say I'm building it, really, I am building it. I was on the top of a ladder today, swinging a hammer back and forth. But I like that stuff. It gives me something to do. It's kind of the hobby thing. But I only really like sort of rough carpentry, that fine woodworking thing. It's too specific and detail-oriented for me. All right, so like I said, hiatus, house, baby on the way. Wife's due March the 4th. So it could be any time, mid-February to mid-March. You never know. And I'm going to try out that Monadnock Birthing Center. I'm kind of creeped out by hospitals in general. I know that people die there. I know that, you can get things that like eat your flesh at hospitals. So I don't like them, and I'm trying to avoid them, and I think my wife and I are going to try that Monadnock Birthing Center thing. Not really for her, just to keep me out of a hospital and freaking out, because she knows, it's not going to go well if I have to go there. So anyway, those are my excuses. Going on hiatus for a little while. I'll be back. It's my intention to come and do the show. I can't do it with the building the house and all that other stuff. I really shouldn't be here today now doing this. I should be taking care of the other stuff. But I'd been gone so long. The TV station was off the air for a little while. I was on vacation for 2 weeks. So I finally and ill, at the end of it, I had to go to a couple of conventions. When I go to a convention, I shake all those hands. I don't know what those people are doing with their hands, but I get sick every time when it comes to shaking people's hands. I was, really, it was the primary. I was meeting the politicians and stuff. I managed to make it through the plane rides, the convention. I was fine. It was the dirty politicians that finally gave me an illness. So I'm not sure which one it was. Could have been Kucinich. His wife was so nice. Anyway, I thought you guys deserved an explanation as to what's going to go on, rather than me just going poof off the air. I know many people watch the show and they enjoy it. If nothing else, watching me make silly, silly faces. So let me get into it. This one jumped out. Here's a Keene citizen getting his face bashed in. That's right. Apparently there's some gentlemen have decided to take out all that extra testosterone by beating the crap out of each other in a barn turned no-frills gym for local men whose aim is to learn the art of combat and hone their skills. God bless them. I used to do this stuff, and white people's noses were not made to get hit. Guys, wear protection as much as you can. I see this guy's face here. I had to get operations and stuff to fix this. It's a bad idea. Do what you want. I'm not telling you anything. I'm not going to say words like foolhardy. But, good luck. It's fun. It's lots of fun to beat the crap out of each other, I must say. All right. Been huge for New England Patriots recently. Big things. They've got, perfect season. They beat out the Dolphins, the Greasy Dolphins, who had previously held that title. And I noticed this editorial. It was on the opinion page. It's from Marianne Sorrento. She's a columnist from Cranston, Rhode Island. And Marianne Sorrento asks, why are sports teams so tolerant of people like Randy Moss? Marianne, sports teams are so tolerant of people like Randy Moss because he scores touchdowns. That's his job. God, what? I mean, maybe he's not the world's greatest role model. Did Randy Moss sign up to be your role model? There's lots of good role models in the NFL. You got to look for them. The NFL doesn't necessarily, broadcast that they're the greatest role models or anything like that, but they're out there. Now, there's been times in the past when role models have and excellent athletic abilities have managed to coalesce together. But excellent athletic abilities and role modelness, they don't go hand in hand necessarily. Randy Moss is not your role model. He's a guy who's paid to catch a football, and he's excellent at it. I don't understand why. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. Look, if I hire a carpenter, I'm not hiring him because he's got a clean mouth and goes to church every Sunday. I'm hiring him because he's good at hammering nails into wood and creating things out of wood. Why should I hire him for any other reason? Now, I'll grant you, those are the buying reasons that people go, some of the thoughts in the buying process that people go through, and God bless them. You can hire a carpenter for any reason you want to. I would recommend to you that the best reason to hire a carpenter is because that carpenter is good at getting his job done. Part of getting his job done is showing up to work on time, showing up to work sober. Lots of, little things that go into that. But skill in doing your job, important. Randy Moss hasn't shown up for a football game drunk yet that I've seen. And as long as he continues to catch the football, I just don't care. He can say and do all kinds of things. He could be as bad as Michael Vick. He could fight dogs together. I wouldn't have sent Michael Vick to jail for fighting dogs. I don't understand why you would send Michael Vick to jail for fighting dogs. I just had a double cheeseburger for lunch. Somebody killed a cow so that I could have lunch. What difference does it make whether somebody fights dogs for fun? It's a little sick to me. I don't support that. If I find out about it, I may very well, it may very well turn me off from supporting that person. In the case of Michael Vick, I don't know. I never watched the Falcons. I don't have any emotional attachment to Michael Vick. Maybe I'd watch the games. Maybe I wouldn't. I can't really answer. But how can you tell someone that it's okay for them to kill an animal to eat, but you can tell somebody else it's not okay for them to hurt an animal for fun? Does it really matter the reason? I don't know. It seems bizarre to me. If you can tell someone that, then you're taking steps down that ladder to saying, you're eating nothing but soy products from here on out. Your life's going to suck till you die. That's what you might as well be telling people when they can't eat meat anymore. Another disturbing thing. This isn't actually an ad. This is a paid advertisement. Now, I'm relatively new to New Hampshire. I've only been here, a year and a half now. And perhaps I haven't paid enough close attention. But the New Hampshire Liquor Commission presents the Wine Week from January the 26th through February the 2nd, which is Groundhog's Day. Puxatunny Phil and all. So it's the New Hampshire Liquor and Wine Outlet, which is putting on this Wine Week. Should the New Hampshire government be telling you which mind-altering substances you should be drinking? Should it be encouraging you to imbibe more alcohol? Because that's what Wine Week is. Wine Week is an encouragement to imbibe alcohol. New Hampshire Liquor Commission recommends that you make bad decisions and lower your inhibition. What does this bother anyone but me? It's just me. Now I realize I'm relatively new, but the whole idea that the New Hampshire government owns the liquor stores is bizarre to me. Now I can't claim to have a great deal of experience here. I've never been in one of the New Hampshire liquor and wine stores. I've never been in one. I don't know. I would assume that they run them reasonably well, because if they didn't, people would probably be up in arms. People are very adamant about their liquor and wine. But, and I'm all for liquor and wine. Please don't think the simple fact that I have not been in one of your liquor stores does not means that I have any problem with people that imbibe liquor and wine, because I do not. I've been known to imbibe a little on my own. I just don't go to liquor stores like that often, I guess. I'm just really, to me it's strange that, and I'm sure the New Hampshire Liquor Commission wouldn't use any of your tax dollars for this ad. I'm sure that this ad was paid for by the profits from selling the liquor and wine that they sell, but doesn't it seem strange to you that the New Hampshire government should be telling people to drink alcohol? Please take more mind-altering substances. We wouldn't tell you they're good for you, but we just would encourage you to drink them. Weird. That's weird. You can't. I don't care where you're from. That's strange. The government telling you to drink alcohol? What if they were telling you to drop acid? They're all mind-altering substances. Isn't it all the same thing? Love this one. It's like the Keene Sentinel writes these things just for me, so that I can come on here and, you know, I can berate the government for a half an hour every. You see, I can't stop. I can't go on hiatus for long, because I have to come here and I have to berate the local and state government on a regular basis for stealing our money. Squeezed. Retirees turn down the heat. Skip restaurant meals. This is an AP story. It's talking about how, stock market, she goes up, she comes down. All that other stuff. But they're suggesting that retirees need to turn down the heat and skip restaurant meals because, well, either you're getting less income. You have to eat, of course, right? So, but you can eat more cheaply, and you have to have heat, otherwise you'll die. And obviously they're assuming that these retirees have cut out some of the fat in their lives, and they're living a very lean existence. But then what that brings me to is I think about, this home that they've lived in all of their lives, and how the taxes have progressively gone up and up. And most of those taxes go to the greedy bureaucrats at the schools, and how those schools have to have computers, and how they have to be heated to whatever, these high temperatures, and all these little minds full of mush largely go there and get counted and taught how to sit in little rows and things like that. I mean, think about what you learned in high school. I'm not saying that high school teaches you entirely useless stuff, but think how much more efficient it could have been. I make pretty good money. I use almost nothing I learned in high school. Almost nothing. Sure, good communication skills are important, but I got those at home. I didn't get those from school. My mother taught me how to speak. The school taught me how to diagram it in little pictures. Parts of speech and, cutting them up in verbs and where the indirect objects go. I can speak just fine, and I don't know. I have to think about what a direct object is. What's a gerund? What are these things? I can answer those questions, but it's only because I paid attention in school and my mind's filled up with goop that I don't need. Trigonometry, sines, cosines, and tangents. You know how long I racked my brain in high school over sines, cosines, and tangents? Useless information unless you're an engineer, which I am not. Did they tell me in high school that I shouldn't be taking this if I'm not going to be an engineer? No, they didn't tell me anything like that. They told me that this was the thing you take after Algebra 2. High school, bunch of dumb stuff. All these taxes we heap upon our citizens so that old people have to turn down the heat and skip restaurant meals with the money that they've, put together, their own money, because the government keeps stealing it. Look, $5,000 is what you pay on a normal $200,000 house here in Keene, New Hampshire. $5,000 every year that the city council demands from you. And if you don't give it to them, they're going to come and take your house away. You're going to be out on the street. You'll be lucky to be turning down the heat and skipping meals because they'll kick you out on your butt. Yeah, they've got little programs where you can go beg the state of New Hampshire, please give me give me a break on my taxes. I've lived here all my life. I need some help. But you shouldn't have to beg these people. They are not your superiors. They are not. This is your house that you're living in, and they're demanding money from you. That's ludicrous. And the more we don't get out and stop them from raising these taxes, I know it's a good idea to give money to the schools. I'm all for schools. Believe me, I'm not against education. I've got a baby on the way, and he's going to be a well-educated child. But what I'm against is forcing people to pay for my child's education. I would never do that. Does that seem fair and right to you? What if I walked into your home with a gun and stuck it in your face and said, give me $1,000, I've got to educate my kid? I'd be a disgusting thief. I'd be an armed robber. But as long as you can get the government to do it for you, now they don't stick guns in anyone's faces right away. It'll be a long time before the gun comes. But you try not leaving that house that's yours once they say you've got to leave because they've taken it away from you. You try not leaving that house. That's when the guys with the guns come. You give them a little resistance, that's when the tasers come out. You give them a little more resistance, you'll see the guns. Yep, that's what government's got. It's got guns. Flat out. Any idea that you have, any good thing that you've considered voting for, whether that's people not working on Sunday or whether that's people, using their property in whatever manner they wish, whatever it is that you go out and vote for, whatever good idea that the school needs. Oh, the school needs new computers. Oh, they need a new building. This old one's too old. Every time you vote, you're not voting for a good idea. You're not voting for something that you're willing to pay for. Something you're willing to pay for, you can open up your wallet and pay for it. What you're doing is you're voting to use the guns of government, violence and theft of government, to come and take away someone else who doesn't want to play ball. I'm not sending my child to public school. I shouldn't be responsible for paying to send people who, some of them make more money than I do. I shouldn't be responsible for sending those people's kids to school. They should be responsible. Even if those people make less, they're still responsible for sending their kid to school. Now, there's going to be a lot of options. If we manage to get rid of this disgusting public school system that we have, there would be a lot of options for people that couldn't afford it. You can believe that. Now, I know that's the first thing people run to. But if it's really an issue of poverty, how come we don't just pay to send the poor people's kids to school? How come everybody's got to pay and pay and pay? And all you have to do is go to the school and watch the Lexuses and Cadillacs pull in and pull out. Those people, it's everybody's sending their kids to school. Middle class, upper class, lower class. It's not a class issue. What it is, well, it's a theft issue. Somebody wants to be able to tell your child what's right and what's wrong, and they want to be able to raise them in the manner that they want to raise them. The people that send their kids to Christian schools, well, they want their kids, they go to a church school. The church teaches them that Jesus is the best thing. People that send their kids to government schools, what do you suppose the schools teach their kid is the best thing? I'd say it's the government. I'd say they create a bunch of drones whose first thought is, when it comes to a problem, is how can the government solve this? Because that's what the government wants. It wants people that worship it. It wants mindless zombies that assume that the government can solve any problem that comes along. I'm not saying that I don't think the government can solve some problems. I think that there are problems that we need government for. But I think that government is an institution with a monopoly on coercive force. By coercive force, I mean violence and threats of violence, because that's all the government's got. That's it. Period. End of story. You cannot enforce whatever grand idea. I don't care if it's solar panels on the moon. I don't care if it's sending grain to Ethiopia. I don't care what great idea I don't care if it's bringing democracy to the heathen Middle East. I don't care what idea it is. You can't do it without threatening people with violence. You can't do it. You can't fund your operation without threatening me with going to jail or taking away my house, depending on how it is that you collect these taxes, losing my business. It's always about force, because that's all government's got. And I really wish that we'd take the next step in social evolution. We'd get away from pointing guns in the faces of our neighbors and threatening them. I really wish we'd go to the next step, which is voluntary associations, allowing people to be involved in things. If things are such a good idea, they'll get funded. All kinds of good ideas come from, voluntary funding. The voluntary free market has managed to give us all kinds of great things. Look around you. It was provided by the free market. It wasn't provided by the government. The building you're in, contractors making a living. The car you drive, auto manufacturer making a living. Everybody making a profit. That's a good thing. Profits are voluntary, and they're voluntary associations. You don't have to give money to somebody who's making a profit. You can choose someone else. All right, everybody. So this was the last Keene Weekly News for a little while. I can't tell you how long. Give me a couple of months. I'll be done with the house. My life will be back in order, and all my ducks will be in rows. And but I will be continuing to do my radio show, Free Talk Live. I do it 6 nights a week, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can check it out at freetalklive.com on Saturday nights. Saturday nights we're on 1290 a.m. WKBK. Here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire, Sega Broadcasting. And that's from 7 to 10 also. So if it's during the weeknight, you can check it out live, 7 to 10, or you can wait until midnight. The podcast will be available. The podcast for the last 6 days is up there at any time you want to go get it and listen to a show. And you can hear me and my co-host prattle on about, well, just about anything. Free Talk Live's an open lines show. It's not so much the news oriented, but still, that's what people want to talk to us about. We're libertarians, and what else do you want to talk to about a libertarian about? Of course they're going to talk about government, how it's intruding on their life. And it's intruding on yours too. You're just not paying attention as much as I am. Thanks a lot. I'm Mark Edgington. It's the Keene Weekly News. Today's January the 25th, 2008. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys soon.